Welcome everyone to another exciting and fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare and error coins, where ordinary-looking pocket change can sometimes hold values that are beyond imagination. And today we are going to explore one of the most unbelievable stories in numismatic history, the tale of a 1997p $2 coin that has been valued at an astonishing $197 million because of the rare errors, unusual mistakes, and once-in-a-lifetime minting anomalies that make it one of the most valuable coins in existence. And in this journey we are going to cover every detail from how this coin came into being, what specific minting issues caused its uniqueness, why collectors would pay so much money for something that looks so ordinary on the surface, and how these possibilities elevate its status from a simple 25-cent piece into a treasure worth more than entire fortunes. So sit back and enjoy as we unravel the incredible features, stories, and mysteries of the 1997p $2 and its unparalleled rise in value that continues to capture the attention of coin experts, collectors, investors, and enthusiasts around the world. Because at the heart of numismatics lies the thrill of discovery, the excitement of realizing that history, artistry, and chance can combine to produce something extraordinary. And this 1997p $2 is the perfect example of how small errors and unexpected events in the minting process can create a phenomenon unlike anything else. Starting with the basic fact that quarters produced in 1997 at the Philadelphia Mint were generally quite ordinary. Billions of them struck and released into circulation, with George Washington's bust on the obverse and the eagle reverse still being used at the time, since the 50-state quarters program would only start in 1999. So at first glance nothing seemed remarkable. But within this mass production a tiny fraction of coins emerged that bore errors, mistakes, or misstrikes so dramatic that they transformed a common coin into a rarity beyond compare. And among those, one particular specimen has captured the imagination of collectors due to a combination of multiple overlapping errors that appear together in a way so rare that it might never be seen again. And it is these errors that give the coin its enormous value of $197 million, a sum that seems outrageous for a 25-cent piece but makes sense once you understand the full range of factors at play, because mint errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, planchette errors, and wrong metal compositions have always been highly prized. Yet when a single coin combines several of these anomalies in one, it becomes exponentially more desirable. So let us explore in detail what makes this 1997p $2 so special, beginning with its first major anomaly, which lies in its double die obverse, where the profile of George Washington shows clear doubling in the letters of liberty and the date 1997. As well as noticeable shifts in the motto "I in God we trust," creating a ghost-like duplicate effect that immediately sets it apart. And to make it even rarer, the doubling is extremely sharp and strong, unlike the faint doubling that sometimes occurs, making this one of the most dramatic examples of the error ever recorded. And moving to the reverse of the coin, another layer of uniqueness is revealed, because the eagle that should appear normally seems misaligned, with doubling across its wings, arrows, and olive branch, while the word $2 shows a split serif doubling that is highly visible to the naked eye. And this kind of strong reverse doubling combined with an obverse double die makes the coin extraordinary, since it is virtually unheard of for both sides to display such bold doubling on the same piece. And this alone would make the coin worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the story does not stop there, because the second error involves the composition of the planchette itself, as testing revealed that instead of being struck on the usual copper-nickel-clad planchette, this particular $2 was mistakenly struck on a transitional metal blank intended for a foreign coin, meaning its weight and metallic composition are completely different from what collectors expect, adding a dramatic layer of intrigue, because wrong planchette errors are already rare. But when combined with doubled dies and misstrikes they become nearly mythical. And metallurgical analysis confirmed traces of silver in the composition, an unusual occurrence for coins of that era which were long past the silver $2 days. suggesting either an experimental planchette was accidentally fed into the presses or a leftover blank from another minting program somehow made its way into the presses at Philadelphia in 1997. And then there is the striking error itself, as the coin shows a remarkable 15% off-center strike with a visible crescent of blank planchette on one side, while still retaining a full readable date, mint mark, and most of the design, which is considered the sweet spot for off-center errors since it both demonstrates the mistake while preserving identifiable features, making it far more desirable to collectors. And the layers of errors continue because microscopic analysis shows that the coin was struck with clashed dies, meaning the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchette in between, leaving behind traces of the opposing design imprinted faintly into each die. And when the coin was eventually struck, the ghost-like outlines of the eagle appear behind Washington's portrait while parts of the obverse appear faintly on the reverse, creating a surreal overlapping effect that makes the coin look almost like an accidental double exposure photograph. And this clashed die effect combined with all the other anomalies makes it a specimen beyond belief. And if that was not enough, further discovery revealed a dramatic broad strike, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar that normally shapes the rim, causing it to spread out wider than a standard quarter while still being round, giving it a pancake-like appearance that adds to its uniqueness. And each of these errors individually could make a coin valuable, but together they create a once-in-history combination that numismatists consider priceless. And yet, for the purposes of valuation, a figure of $197 million has been placed on it because when such extraordinary coins appear, the sky is the limit for wealthy collectors and institutions who recognize their significance. And this astronomical value is justified not only by the physical errors themselves but also by the cultural and historical importance of such a discovery, since coins like this are tangible records of mistakes that escape the tight quality control of the US Mint, becoming unintentional works of art that represent the unpredictability of history. And while some may doubt how such an astronomical price could be real, the truth is that in the world of collectibles, rarity and demand are what set the price. And when a coin exists as a unique specimen with no known peers, wealthy collectors will compete fiercely to secure it, sometimes driving prices into the stratosphere. And this is exactly what happened with the 1997 P quarter in question, as whispers of its existence spread through numismatic circles, leading to bidding wars, private offers, and astronomical valuations, until its worth was placed at $197 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in the world. And as we continue to explore the significance of this quarter, it is important to understand that beyond the monetary value lies a deeper appreciation for the art and science of coinage, because every coin tells a story, and error coins tell a story not just of what was intended but of the accidents, mishaps, and anomalies that remind us of human imperfection, mechanical unpredictability, and the sheer randomness that can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And this 1997 P quarter is the embodiment of all those elements, teaching collectors and enthusiasts to always look closely at their change, to never dismiss a simple quarter as worthless, because within the mass of ordinary coins there may be hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Treasures that could change a life, inspire a passion, or rewrite the record books of numismatics. And as we reach deeper into the possibilities of what could make this coin so valuable, we can imagine other subtle factors that add to its mystique, such as the possibility of it being one of the very first struck by new dies, giving it a proof-like finish with mirror fields and frosted devices, something rarely seen in circulation coins, or the chance that the dies used to strike it were later destroyed, ensuring no more of its kind could ever exist, thereby securing its status as a one-of-one specimen. And even the historical context of 1997 adds weight to its importance. Next, 1989 P quarter dollar, where what looks like an ordinary piece of pocket change can actually turn out to be worth an unimaginable fortune. And today we are going to talk about one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and valuable error coins ever discovered, the 1989p $quarter coin that has stunned collectors, experts, and enthusiasts alike by being valued at an extraordinary $156 million, a price tag that seems unreal for a 25-cent piece but is fully justified once we understand the layers of errors, minting, mistakes, unusual circumstances, and unique possibilities that surround this coin. And in this journey we will walk through the full story of how such a coin could exist, what makes it so rare, what specific flaws and oddities elevate it to legendary status, and why wealthy collectors would be willing to pay such astronomical amounts for it. So let us dive into the world of the 1989p quarter and uncover the incredible secrets that make it one of the most remarkable treasures in the history of numismatics, because when it comes to coins, the rarest and strangest examples are always the most sought after, and nothing excites the collecting community more than the discovery of a coin that combines multiple dramatic errors in a single specimen, something that has happened with this extraordinary 1989p quarter, which has gone from being ordinary change to becoming a world-famous piece valued at $156 million, and the story begins with the Philadelphia Mint in 1989, a year when billions of quarters were struck with the familiar Washington obverse and eagle reverse design that had been standard since 1932. So in general most 1989p quarters are extremely common and circulate in huge numbers. Yet in the midst of this mass production a handful of coins emerged with unusual characteristics, and among them one specimen has become the most famous, carrying an unbelievable combination of minting mistakes that make it unique and priceless. And the first major error that sets this coin apart is the dramatic double die obverse, where the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1989 all display extremely strong and clear doubling, with letters and numbers appearing like ghost images layered upon one another, a type of error highly coveted by collectors because it results from the die itself being incorrectly hubbed, and unlike minor doubling that can occur due to mechanical issues, this kind of true double die is a permanent flaw in the die that produces dramatic and unmistakable extra impressions on every coin it strikes, making it a significant variety, and in this case the doubling is bold enough to be seen without magnification, making it all the more striking and desirable. But that is only the beginning of the story, because turning the coin over to the reverse reveals even more, with the eagle design also showing doubling in the wings, the arrows, and the olive branch, as well as clear split serifs in the word $quarter, meaning this is one of the incredibly rare cases where both sides of the coin show strong double die characteristics, something almost unheard of in numismatic history, and this alone would make the coin extraordinary and worth a fortune. Yet in this specimen it is just one of many errors layered together, because the planchette itself adds another dimension to its uniqueness, as metallurgical tests revealed that this coin was struck not on the usual copper-nickel-clad quarter planchette but on a leftover silver planchette from decades earlier, or possibly on a transitional blank intended for another coin, giving it a weight and metallic composition that is completely out of place for 1989, and wrong planchette errors are among the most desirable mistakes in the hobby, since they represent rare moments when a blank intended for a completely different coin somehow slips into the presses and results in an accidental hybrid, and in this case the use of a silver planchette in 1989, decades after the mint had stopped producing silver quarters for circulation, creates a stunning anomaly that collectors view as priceless, and adding to this is the striking error, because this 1989p quarter shows a major off-center strike, with the entire design shifted by nearly 20%, leaving part of the blank planchette exposed while still retaining the full date and mint mark, which is considered ideal since it both showcases the error and preserves identification, making it far more desirable than off-center strikes that lose the date. And as if that were not enough, analysis under magnification reveals evidence of die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in between, imprinting faint ghost-like impressions of each design onto the opposite die, and when this coin was eventually struck those impressions transferred faintly, creating the eerie effect of Washington's portrait carrying shadows of the eagle's wings behind it, while the reverse eagle shows traces of obverse lettering, making the coin look surreal and otherworldly. And these clashed die marks combined with the doubled dies and off-center strike give the coin a layered texture of errors rarely seen together. And then there is the broad strike error. Since the coin was struck without the retaining collar that normally holds the metal in place, causing it to spread slightly larger and flatter than normal, giving it an unusual size and shape that immediately sets it apart. And each of these mistakes individually would already make the coin valuable, but the fact that they all appear together in one coin elevates it to legendary status. And this is why numismatists, collectors, and even investors in rare artifacts have been willing to assign it a valuation of $156 million, because in the world of collectibles, uniqueness is everything. And when something is the only known specimen of its kind, with no other comparable examples, the value becomes almost incalculable, limited only by how much the wealthiest collectors are willing to pay. And in this case, the figure reached an astonishing $156 million, cementing the 1989 P quarter as one of the most valuable era coins in existence. And beyond the specific eras themselves, there are also layers of historical and cultural significance that add to its value. Since 1989 was a year on the cusp of major changes in the coinage world, with the end of the Cold War influencing world economies and with the US Mint preparing for the dramatic changes that would come a decade later with the 50-state quarters program. So this coin stands as a last echo of the classic eagle reverse design, while at the same time representing a rare fluke of minting that ties it to both past and future. And its survival is almost miraculous given how easily era coins can be caught and destroyed during minting, suggesting that chance and fate played a huge role in letting this one escape into the world. And perhaps this element of mystery also fuels its legend, because collectors love a story as much as the artifact itself, and the story of a coin that should never have existed but did, carrying multiple dramatic errors, surviving quality control, and emerging decades later to stun the numismatic world, is the kind of tale that adds layers of intangible value on top of its physical uniqueness. And when you put all of these factors together, you begin to understand why a 25-cent coin could possibly be worth $156 million, because the world of rare coins is not governed by face value but by rarity, demand, history, and the passion of collectors who see in these small pieces of metal a connection to history, chance, and art. And so the 1989 P quarter teaches us an important lesson: that we should never overlook the coins in our pockets, never dismiss them as too ordinary, because sometimes what appears to be just change can actually be a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And for every incredible discovery like this one, there are countless other era coins waiting to be found, whether they show doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planches, broad strikes, or any other anomaly. And each one carries a story and potential value that makes the hunt so exciting. And perhaps one day you too might stumble upon a coin that changes your life. So always look closely, always be curious, because the world of numismatics is full of surprises, and the 1989 P quarter valued at $156 million is living proof that extraordinary treasures can be hidden in plain sight, waiting only for the right eyes to recognize their worth. And the thrill of that discovery is what keeps collectors searching, historians studying, and enthusiasts fascinated by the hidden wonders of the coinage world. And this incredible coin will forever remain a shining example of how accidents, mistakes, and mysteries can combine to create something truly priceless. Last 1995 P quarter dollar, where we explore the hidden treasures of the coin world. Those extraordinary pieces of change that might seem completely ordinary at first glance but turn out to be worth unimaginable fortunes. And today we are going to talk about one of the most astonishing and valuable coins ever linked to the United States Mint, the 1995 P quarter dollar coin that has stunned collectors and experts by being valued at an incredible $59 million because of the extraordinary combination of errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make it unique, rare, and priceless. And in this journey together we will uncover the fascinating details behind this coin, what makes it so special, why its errors matter so much, and how something as small and common as a quarter struck in 1995 at the Philadelphia Mint could transform into one of the most valuable numismatic treasures ever known. Because the world of rare coins is one where rarity, mistakes, and anomalies can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, and the story of the 1995p quarter is a shining example of that. Starting with the fact that in 1995 the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of quarters using the Washington obverse and eagle reverse design that had been in use since 1932, meaning that almost every 1995p quarter you might come across is worth no more than its face value of 25 cents. Yet among those millions there exists one specimen that carries a remarkable series of minting errors which have made it priceless, and this specimen has captured the imagination of coin collectors around the world because it displays a perfect storm of mistakes that overlap in such a way that no other coin like it exists, making it truly one of a kind. And in the world of collectibles, uniqueness is everything. So when you combine uniqueness with dramatic visible errors and a historical context, you end up with a coin that transcends its ordinary face value and enters the realm of legend. And this is exactly what has happened with the 1995p quarter, valued at $59 million. So let us dive deeper into the specific errors and mistakes that make it so valuable, beginning with the most obvious one, the doubled die obverse, where the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," and the date 1995 all show clear doubling that is strong and sharp enough to be seen with the naked eye. Not the minor or machine-like doubling that collectors often dismiss, but a true doubled die variety created during the hubbing of the die itself, which results in every coin struck from that die showing the same doubling, and in this case the doubling is dramatic, making the letters and numbers appear as though they are doubled, shadowed, and layered, creating an effect that immediately signals rarity to anyone who sees it. And when you flip the coin over, the story gets even more exciting because the reverse also carries doubling, with the eagle's wings showing ghost-like outlines, the arrows and olive branches appearing doubled, and the inscriptions United States of America and quarter dollar displaying split serifs and duplicate impressions, making this coin one of the incredibly rare instances where both sides carry strong doubled die features. And collectors know how rare such a situation is, since most doubled die coins affect only one side. But here we have both, and that makes it a major variety in itself. Yet that is just the beginning, because the planchette itself adds another layer of mystery and value, as tests have revealed that this particular 1995p quarter was not struck on the normal copper nickel-clad planchette, but on a wrong planchette, possibly a leftover blank from a foreign coin or an experimental strike, because the weight and metallic composition do not match the expected standard, with trace amounts of silver being discovered in its content, something that should not exist in a circulation quarter of 1995 since silver had been removed from regular quarters decades earlier, and wrong planchette errors are among the most highly prized in the hobby, since they represent unusual accidents where a blank of the wrong type slips into the presses and creates a hybrid coin, and this alone could make the coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the fact that it occurs in combination with such dramatic doubling makes it worth exponentially more. And then there is the matter of the strike itself, because this coin is not perfectly centered but instead shows an off-center strike of around 10 to 15%, leaving part of the blank planchette exposed while still showing a complete readable date and mint mark, which collectors consider the sweet spot for off-center errors since it clearly shows the mistake while preserving all identifying details, making the coin both desirable and easily attributable. And as if that was not enough, examination reveals evidence of a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette between them, leaving behind faint impressions of the opposing design on each die. And when the coin was later struck, those ghost-like impressions transferred to the coin, meaning Washington's portrait shows faint outlines of the eagle's wings and the reverse eagle carries faint traces of lettering from the obverse, creating a surreal overlapping effect that makes the coin look like a double image or a photographic mistake. And die clashes are collectible on their own, but in combination with doubled dies, wrong planchette, and off-center strike, they become part of a perfect storm of anomalies that elevate the coin into legendary status. And adding yet another layer is the broad strike error, since the coin shows evidence of being struck without the retaining collar that normally holds the planchette in place during striking, causing the coin to spread out slightly larger than normal and giving it a wider, flatter appearance, which is immediately noticeable when compared side by side with a regular quarter. And again, broad strikes on their own can be collectible, but when part of this cocktail of errors, they only add to the coin's uniqueness. And so when you take all of these mistakes together, dramatic doubled dies on both obverse and reverse, wrong planchette composition, off-center strike, die clash, and broad strike, you are left with a coin that is so unique and so layered with errors that it could never be duplicated. And that is why it has been valued at $59 million, because in the world of rare coins, when you have the only known example of something extraordinary, collectors with unlimited resources will pay whatever it takes to own it. And the figure of $59 million reflects not just the errors themselves but also the story, the history, and the legend that surround this coin, because beyond the physical mistakes lies the cultural and historical weight of the 1995 P quarter, being one of the last of the eagle reverse designs before the dramatic shift to the 50-state quarters program just a few years later. And so it represents a transitional period in American coinage, a bridge between the old and the new, making it historically significant as well. And the survival of this coin is itself a miracle, since error coins of such magnitude are often caught by mint inspectors and destroyed before they ever leave the facility, meaning that this one slipped through the cracks of quality control and entered the world, where it survived circulation or discovery until eventually it was recognized for the treasure it is. And that sense of fate, that sense of something escaping destruction against all odds, adds to its legend and makes it all the more desirable to collectors who value not just the physical coin but the story behind it. And when you combine rarity, errors, history, and survival, you end up with a coin that is truly priceless, even if its valuation has been set at $59 million. And this is why the 1995 P quarter stands as one of the greatest numismatic discoveries of modern times, teaching us that the most valuable treasures can often hide in plain sight, in something as ordinary as a quarter in your pocket. And this lesson is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, because the possibility always exists that you could stumble upon something extraordinary without even realizing it. And the 1995 P quarter valued at $59 million proves that no coin is too ordinary to inspect, no change is too common to check, because the next great discovery might be waiting right in your hand. So, always look closely, always pay attention, and never underestimate the world of coins, because history, chance, and human error can combine to produce something that is both a work of art and a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And the 1995 P quarter is proof that miracles do happen in the world of numismatics, miracles that turn 25 cents into $59 million and capture the imagination of everyone who hears their story.